Alright, first time visiting Arizona and playing poker here at Talking Stick. The game is spread limit at this property, which means that you're only able to bet an increment between two specified amounts. In this initial game, I'm playing 2-3 spread limit, with 3 being the minimum bet and 300 being the maximum bet. In the first two notable hands, I actually didn't have the camera on as I was just planning to vlog the 3-5 session. But in this first interesting hand of 2-3, we're playing 7-handed, under the gun limps, low jack raises to 12. I call from the hijack with 8-9 of diamonds, and under the gun calls as well. 3 ways to a flop of ace-7-5 with a couple of diamonds, so I flop hard with both a diamond and an inside straight draw. Under the gun checks, low jack c-bets 21, playing in position I call, and under the gun folds. Heads up to a turn of a 3 of clubs. My opponent continues the aggression for 45, and it feels like he's probably got a strong ace, so instead of playing this as a semi-bluff, I just flat to try and realize. 5th street comes, the 6 of clubs, so I hit the nut shot on a board that contains a one-liner. Low jack 6 with the aggression for 50, and with roughly 200 effective, it goes in the middle. I think it's hard for him to call with worse than ace-king, but just hoping that he's got that hand or something better like 2 pair, a set, or even a 4. He tanks for a good minute and puts in the call. After I turn my hand over, he decides to show ace-7 of clubs for top 2. Lucky to win this first hand. Next hand, I again don't have the camera on. Under gun raises to 10. I call from the button with pocket 7s, and the blinds call as well. 4 ways to a flop of ace-6 deuce rainbow. Small blind checks, big blind bets 15. The original under the gun raiser folds, and for that price, I'm willing to peel, and the small blind folds. Heads up to a turn, that comes jackpot, giving me 3 7s for the effective nuts. I get good news as big blind bets 50. We're playing roughly 500 effective, and I raise to 160. And given that it's 300 spread limit, he can only raise to 460, and that is what he does. I put in another raise for the 500 effective. He calls off. I table my hand before the run out, as does he, and he shows ace deuce offsuit. Just need to fade a 2 outer, and I do as the river comes a 4 of spades. Scoop another nice one here. Next spot, I do get the camera on, and I've got king queen of diamonds from under the gun, and I raise to 12. Button and small blind call, and we go 3 ways to a flop of ace-8 deuce rainbow. Small blind checks, I see bet range for 12, button folds, and the small blind calls. Looking for a good turn of barrel such as a Broadway card or diamond, it comes a 3 of spades. When small blind checks, I can just shut it down, but in the hopes of getting an 8 to fold and putting pressure on a marginal ace, I bet 35. My opponent thinks it through and puts in the min check raise to 70. Yeah, can't continue, and perhaps I'm better off not recording as I lose the first hand that I capture on camera. Shortly after, we were playing 6-handed. Hijack limps, small blind raises to 12 with around 160 total. I flat from the big blind with king 3 of diamonds. Hijack folds, and we go heads up to a flop of king queen 6 with 2 diamonds. So I flop hard again with top pair on the second nut flush draw. Small blind c-bets 15, and with him playing 160 total, I'm looking to get the money in by the turn, and I raise to 40. Primary targets are a queen, jack 10, and diamonds. And if I am behind against a better king, I still have solid equity. Small blind calls, and we go to a turn of a blank 7 of hearts. Small blind checks, and I bet a shade under what he's got left, and put out 100. He doesn't think too long and lets it go. I then get called for the 3-5 game, which has a spread limit of 5 to 600. In the first hand dealt, we are 5-handed, and I've got Beauty and the Beast offsuit in the cutoff, and I raise to 20. Button and big blind call, and go 3 ways to a dry flop of queen 4 deuce rainbow. Checks to me, I see bet 30, button folds, big blind calls. Heads up to a turn of a 4 of spades pairing the board, and given that I have a queen, this could be a very good card for my opponent. Big blind checks, and can never be too careful, so I check back. River comes, the 9 of spades, completing the backdoor flush, which is somewhat relevant since it's feasible for my opponent to have queen x of spades. Big blind decides to bet 60, and I know this is going to sound nitty, but I don't love it. It would make sense for him to bet a 4, queen 9, and spades for value, but I'm not sure how often he's betting queen 10 and queen jack, as I'd expect those hands to more often play as bluff catchers. Although I don't feel like I'm beating value, you can have missed draws, namely ace 3, 3-5, and 5-6. With that in mind, I call and get shown queen 10 offsuit. So yeah, I read that one wrong, but got it right enough to scoop this pot. Next hand I raise a 20 from under the gun with pocket 5s. Low jack and big blind call, and go multi-way to a flop of 8-7-6 with 2 clubs and a heart. Big blind checks. With 3 overs I should probably check, but I can't help myself and c-bet 20. Low jack and big blind call, and we go to a turn of a 4 of clubs, so I pick up a straight draw on a board in which I could be drawing dead. Big blind decides to lead for 30, I call, and the low jack folds. River comes, the king of clubs, so now any club makes a flush. Big blind checks, and with no history or info on this player, I don't know if he plays a club this way and will call a bet, or if he plays a pair of aces or 2 pair this way and will fold to a large bet. Long story short, I take the soft route and check. He wins with 8-7 offsuit, and looking back, I should have at least tried a bet, given that I was at the bottom of range. As always though, hindsight is 20/20. Playing 6-handed in this next one, I raise a 20 from the hijack with pocket 7s. Cut off button and big blind call, and we go 4 ways to a flop of 9-4 deuce with a couple of spades. Solid flop for the 7s, and when big blind checks, I see bet 50 primarily for protection. Cut off calls, and button who tunes into the videos puts in a hefty raise to 325. Big blind folds, and naturally this feels like a strong combo draw. The main value hand that makes sense is 4 deuce, and that's going to be pretty slim with just 2 combos. That said, as much as I like to continue, 275 more makes this an expensive guessing game, and I have the opponent in the middle to potentially worry about as well. So after some deliberation, I let this one go as is the cutoff. Shout out to Brian on the button, who takes this one down with pure aggression. Got a quick hitter in this next one. We are 6-handed and I raise a 20 from under the gun with ace-king offsuit. Hijack button and big blind call, and we go 4 ways to a flop of queen 5-3 rainbow. Big blind checks, I fire c-bet, and get folds from all 3 players. Next hand the straddle is on and button raises to 35. I've got pocket 9s in the small blind and 3 bets to 140. Big blind and the under the gun straddler get out of the way. Button, who goes by the name Winters, is undeterred and demonstrates the ice water running through his veins as he confidently rips for 650 total. This spot feels pretty damn close, and math wizards will probably say this is a call. The problem is that I don't think he's doing this with a weaker pair, say with 7s or 8s. So I'm really just hoping that he's got ace-king, which still performs really well against 9s, since he gets to fully realize his equity. After a bit of thinking, I begrudgingly fold, and my opponent takes my money and takes over my whole card cam. Next spot, the straddle is on once again. Low jack calls, and I've got pocket aces in the hijack. I raise to 50, the straddler calls, and the low jack folds. Heads up to a flop of king 10-10 with 2 suits. Straddler checks, I c-bet 55, and get a pretty quick fold. So an uneventful hand, but as the saying goes, better to win a small one with aces than to lose a big one. Last hand to run through, and there's an unfortunate development to share. I raise a 20 from under the gun with ace-4 of spades. And as I pick up several callers, a floor staff informs me that I am not allowed to record, so I had to cut out the recording for the rest of this hand. But we do end up going multi-way to a flop of ace-jack 3 rainbow, so I've got top pair, bad kicker, and backdoor possibilities. I check, low jack checks, hijack bets 50, folds to me, and only I call. Heads up to a turn of a 10 of diamonds, putting up more draws. I check, and hijack continues the aggression for 150. It's a tough spot because I don't have a good sense of where I'm at, and if I call, I'm very likely to be put in a difficult bluff catching spot on the river. That said, I succumb to the aggression and fold. Alright, just wrapped up the session here at Talking Stick Resort. First time ever playing poker in Arizona, and it was mostly a positive experience, but I did have to cut the vlog short because I was told to stop recording. But overall, the poker room is really nice, staff was really friendly, and the people are pretty cool too. As for the poker results, I got into the 2-3 game for 300, got out of that one for 1066, so a profit of 766. Then moved over to the 3-5 game, bought in for 1,000 and lost 2 1/4 in that one. So the net math is around plus 550. And to wrap up this video, I just want to thank you all for the continued support, liking, commenting, subscribing, all that good stuff. And also to those of you that made recommendations for my Arizona trip, definitely appreciate that as well. So with that, I'll see you guys in the next video.